They thought I couldn't log in. Couldn't even open the app probably. But I did. I sat there in my little kitchen chair, glasses on, hands steady, and I logged in. First thing I saw was a photo-wide smiles, wet hair, my daughter in that yellow swimsuit she always says makes her look young. The kids were holding ice cream cones. My sister had a cocktail in hand. They were all at the beach. Sand behind them, ocean wide and blue like something from a movie. The date said last Saturday. That was the day I waited all afternoon by the phone. My birthday was the week before. No card, no call, no cake. I had even put the good blouse on just in case someone dropped by. Nothing. I told myself they were busy, that they'd make it up to me. But here they were, laughing, tanned, matching towels and all. It wasn't a last-minute thing. You could see it in the matching hats. The way my daughter had packed the grandkids' buckets and shovels. My sister wore earrings I gave her for Christmas 5 years ago. So they remembered those. But not me. I kept scrolling. Quiet. Just watching. Each photo felt like a brick to the chest. One after another. I zoomed in on the resort logo printed on the umbrella. Looked familiar. I opened another tab. Searched the name. Looked through recent reservations. They thought I couldn't find the site. I found the reservation. I was the one who taught them the ocean was safe. My own summers were dry, dusty. Back then, we didn't travel. We didn't vacation. We sat on porches with hot knees and warm soda. And if we were lucky, someone turned on the sprinkler. The ocean was a dream, not even a big one. Just a quiet wish I tucked behind work shifts and utility bills. But when I held my first baby, I promised her she would feel the sea. I wanted my children to stand in front of something bigger than their troubles. I wanted them to know there was softness after struggle, salt after sweat, water after dust. So I started saving early. Pennies in old pickle jars, nickels in sock drawers. I wrote vacation in black marker on each jar lid. I'd shake them sometimes just to hear hope rattle. Back then, we didn't have much, but I always found a way. I bought sunscreen before I bought milk, goggles before I bought laundry soap, packed peanut butter sandwiches and carrot sticks in wax paper, wrapped in paper towels. We didn't stop for fast food. We stopped at shaded picnic tables. I made sure they were full, even when I wasn't. I planned. I packed. I paid. I stayed behind. At the beach, I always laid out the towels, spread the blankets, made a nest in the sand while they ran toward the waves. They'd shout, "Mama, come in." I'd smile and wave, say, "Mama can swim later." But later never came. There was always a reason. One needed a dry towel. Another forgot their flip-flops. Someone scraped a knee on a seashell. And I was always the one holding the first aid kit. Always the one warming them in a big towel, letting my own skin burn so theirs didn't. Year after year, I gave up my turn. Not out of bitterness. But because watching them feel joy, that was enough. Their laughter was richer than any vacation I dreamed of as a girl. I watched them float, chase waves, bury each other in sand. I sat behind, hands sandy, heart full. I told myself they'd remember. They'd remember how I held them in the shallows when they were afraid. How I showed them the water wouldn't take them if they held on to me. How I kept them safe, always. I planned, I packed, I paid. I stayed behind. Even when they were teenagers, I'd offer to drive. I'd make sure they had towels, snacks, music. I was the background to their memories. The one setting up shade, not seeking it. The one counting heads in the surf. Always counting. Always watching. I never once took my eyes off them. That was my way of loving. Not loud, but steady. And now, seeing them there grown, grinning, standing where I used to sit, it stings. Not because they're happy, but because they're happy without a single thought of how they got there. No call, no mention, no room for me on that sand. I saw the photo of my grandson with his tiny feet just at the edge of the foam. I used to stand right there. I used to lift his mother into the waves, her wet curls stuck to her cheeks, her arms wrapped tight around my neck. They saw the ocean and forgot who first brought them to the shore. It didn't happen all at once. That's the part that hurts the most. It was slow, like water pulling sand from under your feet, 1 inch at a time. You don't feel it until you're already sinking. It started with, "Just the kids this time, Mom." Then, "You wouldn't enjoy the hike." Things I used to love, things I used to lead, suddenly became too much for me in their eyes. At least, I told myself they were being kind, thoughtful. Maybe I would get tired. Maybe it's better I rest. After all, I used to carry the cooler, the towels, the beach chairs. Now I bring a cane. Phone calls changed too. They used to ask, "How are you feeling? How's your garden?" Then it turned into, "What's your PIN again?" Or, "Do you remember the Wi-Fi password?" They only called when they needed something, and I gave it. Every time. Because that's what mothers do. You give, even when the giving comes with silence. I told myself I was being sensitive. I was tired, yes. Maybe I talk too slow now. Maybe they've outgrown me. It happens. I'd hang up and sit in my quiet kitchen, convince myself that they'd call next week, or that I was imagining things, that I wasn't a burden, just busy at the wrong time. But I started hearing about things after they'd happened. My granddaughter's dance recital through a neighbor, a school play mentioned in passing, like it was old news. They'd post pictures online, smiling in matching scarves, standing under birthday banners I hadn't even known were hung. Sometimes I would call and they'd say, "Oh, we meant to tell you, it was last minute." Always last minute. But never for them. Just for me. One afternoon, I went to put a book away in the guest room. The door was half open, and I heard my daughter talking to her husband, laughing soft. I wasn't trying to eavesdrop. But then I heard her say, "She won't even notice. She's barely online." Barely online. Like I was an antique clock no one bothered to wind anymore. I stood there, holding that book, hands trembling. They think I don't see. They think I don't feel. As if wrinkles dull your heart. As if years soften your need to be wanted. Still, I sent gifts. I'd order things and write little notes in the gift messages. Saw this and thought of you. Hope it fits. Tell the kids I love them. I'd prop up my phone on a jar and smile for FaceTime. Sometimes they'd answer. Sometimes not. When they did, I'd hear my own voice wobble. I'd smile too hard. Pretend I didn't notice the way they were already distracted. Like they had one eye on me and the other checking the time. I planned their birthdays on sticky notes. Baked pies for holidays, even when I knew they wouldn't come. I tried to stay ready, hopeful. But deep down, I was bracing for quiet. It's not that I was unwelcome. I was erased. It was the same week, the exact week we used to go. Every year, like clockwork, right after school let out, before the beaches got too crowded. That week was ours. I'd circle it on the calendar with a red pen, even when no one else bothered to look. I'd start lists in February. Who needed new swimsuits? What snacks held up best in a cooler? I knew those days, like I knew the lines on my hands. So when I saw the date on those Facebook photos, something went still inside me. I clicked one, then another. My eyes scanned the background like a detective. The palm tree by the snack bar, same one. The chipped blue tile by the pool, still there. I knew that place like a second home. And then I saw it. The room number on the little plastic tag, hanging from the key lanyard around my granddaughter's neck. 214. That was my room. The one I always booked first. The one with the afternoon shade and the best view of the ocean. They didn't just go without me. They used my itinerary. They took my favorite week of the year. Took my plans. My patterns. My little traditions. The same drive-down playlist I burned onto CDs back when the kids were little. The same rest stop we always paused at for orange sodas and boiled peanuts. All of it, still alive but without me. They didn't just forget me, they replaced me. I sat there for a long time. Didn't cry, didn't move. I stared at the empty suitcase under my bed. The one I always kept half-packed, just in case. Travel-sized shampoo. A sun hat folded neat. A pack of cards we used to play at night when the waves got too dark to see. I hadn't touched it since last year, but I kept it close. Because I thought, maybe. My neighbor, Marlene, mentioned something that evening. Said she saw my daughter and the kids loading up the car a few days earlier. Thought you were going too, she said. I just smiled. Said I had too much laundry to do. What else could I say? That no one invited me? That not one of them even tried to lie? Not even a fake excuse? Not even a, we thought you'd be too tired? The silence was the loudest part. I sat in my room and remembered all the little things I did to make those trips special. How I'd fold their towels like animals, leave mints on their pillows, cook their favorite pasta the first night, because restaurants always got their orders wrong. I kept thinking, did they do any of those things without me? Did they even remember? They packed my traditions into someone else's suitcase. My granddaughter wore the sun hat I gave her last summer. I saw it in the picture. My daughter carried the tote I embroidered with seashells the year she turned 30. My sister wore my old sunglasses. And still, not one word, not one message. They weren't just traveling. They were reenacting, replacing, erasing. They booked the trip with my stories and left me out of the frame. I didn't comment. I didn't like a photo, didn't send a message or make a call. I just confirmed the dates. Went straight to the resort's website, the same place I used to save years just to afford. I still remember the first time I booked it, all nervous fingers and dial-up internet. Back then, I had to call and ask about every little detail. Pet policy, parking, pool hours. I'd write it all down in a notebook. But over time, I learned their system better than most of the staff did. This time, I clicked login like it was second nature. Typed in my old loyalty number, the one still written on a sticky note in the drawer by my stove. It worked. My name popped up, familiar and steady. Welcome back, Mrs. Ellison. Funny how a website can feel warmer than your own blood. I started clicking around. The system hadn't changed much, and neither had I. Just slower hands? Maybe. But the memory was all there. I knew where to look. Found the booking history in seconds. There it was. My daughter's name. Same last name I gave her. Now sitting on 3 room reservations. Under her account, yes. But using the structure I'd built. Same check-in time. Same side of the building for afternoon shade. Same everything. I used to book for everyone. Even when they were grown, they relied on me. I knew who wanted extra pillows, who got cold at night, who liked ocean view versus pool view. I built that trip from scratch year after year. I made it muscle memory. They thought I'd forget, thought I was out of the loop. But I was the loop, and I smiled. Not with anger, not with revenge, with purpose, like something settling into place. I clicked over to the Contact Us page, sent a polite email to the front desk using my full name. Got a reply that evening from someone named Adam. He'd worked there for over 20 years. I remembered him. Freckles, soft voice, used to give the kids extra beach towels without charging. He remembered me too. Mrs. Ellison, he wrote, I was just telling a new hire about the family who brought their own board games every July. That line hit me harder than I thought it would. I sat there, hand to chest, blinking too fast. Someone remembered. Someone outside the family. That mattered more than I expected. We went back and forth a few times. I asked about availability. Quiet dates, places that weren't so loud with memory. He helped me find a cottage, smaller, private, just for me. Not beachfront, but close, enough to hear the waves if the wind was right. They thought I was tech illiterate, but I built the original file. I didn't tell anyone, didn't announce it. No cryptic posts or guilt-ridden texts. I just packed my suitcase, the one under my bed, dusted it off, pulled out the cards, the sun hat, the little red shell I always took for good luck. They booked without me. So I booked something better. I canceled the rooms. Then I sat with my fear. It wasn't like me. I don't do things like that. I've never been the kind of woman who seeks revenge or makes scenes. I'm the one who smooths over tension, pours the sweet tea, says, "It's fine, baby," even when it isn't. For most of my life, I've been the peacemaker, the planner, the one who shrinks so others feel tall. So when I opened that reservation screen, heart racing, I hesitated. My finger hovered over the cancel button like it was a weapon. I kept thinking, What if I'm wrong? What if I regret this? What if they're mad? That last one hit hardest. I didn't want to be the villain. I didn't want to be the reason the kids cried or the trip got ruined. But then I pictured it again. My grandkids, laughing in that pool, splashing, shouting, asking for snacks. All the joy in their faces, and not once had they said my name. Not once had they asked, "Where's Nana?" It was a trip full of memories, and not one memory included me. So I called the resort. Adam answered. He didn't question it. "Of course, Mrs. Ellison," he said, voice gentle. "I'll take care of it now." 3 rooms. Canceled. Refunds processed all back to the card still on file. My card. I hadn't realized it was still linked. Even their payment method had been mine. My hands trembled when I hung up. I sat there, phone still in my lap, feeling like I'd just jumped into cold water. My stomach flipped. My palms were damp. I stared out the window at the tree in the yard, the one I planted after my husband died, and I tried to breathe slow. And then, somewhere deep in me, something started to settle. I thought back to a moment I hadn't touched in years. I was in my 30s. My husband had come home angry about something small. A broken lawnmower. A missed bill. His voice rose, loud enough to make the kids freeze at the table. And for the first time, I didn't shrink. I didn't cry. I just said, "That's enough." Calm, quiet, strong. I only ever said it once like that. But it changed something. He never shouted like that again. Sometimes a single decision can shift the air around you. This felt like that. I wasn't canceling out of spite. I wasn't being cruel. I wasn't taking anything that hadn't already been taken from me. I was simply drawing a line. I was saying, enough. Not in anger. Not in rage. In remembrance. I didn't cancel out of anger. I canceled because they forgot who built the trip in the first place. I rebooked the resort. For one room. Ocean view. Balcony. I picked it myself. The same way I used to pick everything down to the side of the building. That gets the morning light. Not the heat of the afternoon. I didn't ask for opinions. Didn't check anyone's schedule. I just chose. Like it was normal. Like I'd been doing it all along. I packed slow. Careful. No rush. No last-minute scrambling for someone else's sandals or favorite snack. Just me. I packed the white sun hat I'd carried to that resort for over a decade. The one I always meant to wear, but never did. Told myself I looked silly. That it was too bright. Too much. This time, I set it right on top of the suitcase like it belonged. The drive was quiet. I let the windows down halfway. Played music I liked. Not what someone else needed. I stopped at the same gas station as always. Got myself a soda and some peanuts. I didn't rush. No one waiting. No one asking when we'd get there. When I arrived, the man at the front desk smiled wide. "Welcome back, Miss Lee," he said. Like nothing had changed. Like I was exactly where I was supposed to be. And maybe I was. The room was perfect. Fresh sheets, soft light. I stood on the balcony, sun warming my arms, and listened to the ocean. Same sound I remembered. Maybe sweeter. Maybe I just never stopped long enough to hear it for myself. I ordered room service that night. Steak. Real dessert. I ate slowly, with the television off. The next morning I slept in, until I woke up without an alarm. No voices. No noise. Just the ocean and the soft rustle of waves through the sliding glass door. I walked to the beach after breakfast. Brought a book I hadn't touched in years. Saturday under the umbrella, and actually read it. No packing lunches, no checking watches, no counting heads. Sometime that afternoon, my phone started buzzing. My daughter, then my sister, then again, and again. I didn't answer. I watched the tide come in, watched children dig sandcastles, listened to the gulls and the wind, and the soft laughter of strangers. I let it all go by. My phone buzzed again. I set it face down. Later, I heard through Adam, through whispers, that they arrived, that they stood in the lobby with surprised faces. No rooms, no backup plan, no idea what had happened. I imagined them, confused, a little lost, and I didn't feel smug. I didn't feel cruel. I felt still. Because I didn't ruin their vacation, I reclaimed mine. Thank you, we're now at section 8, so I'll continue from there with the script below, following all the same voice, tone, and emotional rhythm. Underscore, 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 underscore. I left the group chat, and the door locked behind me. When I got home, I didn't unpack right away. I made tea. Saturday, in my favorite chair. Let the quiet settle back into the house like an old friend. My suitcase stayed by the door for 3 days. Not out of sadness. Just no hurry. I had been somewhere. I had done something. For me. The phone kept ringing that first week. My daughter. My sister. Even one of the grandkids, bless him, trying to FaceTime like nothing happened. I blocked the numbers. All of them. Not forever, maybe. But for now, I deleted the photos too, not theirs, mine. The ones I used to scroll through when the house felt too quiet. Birthdays. Pool days. Smiles I used to chase like they meant something. I started tending the front garden again. The roses had gone wild in my absence, but I liked the mess of it. Something beautiful pushing out in every direction, not asking permission. I baked too a peach cobbler one night, just for me. No holiday, no guests. I ate 2 slices while they were still warm and didn't feel bad about it. Weeks passed. Then one morning, they came. I heard the car doors first, then the knock, then another. They didn't look sorry. They looked shocked, like they'd discovered a stranger in my place. "Mom, how could you do that to us?" my daughter said, her voice all sharp edges, like I'd stolen something, like I hadn't given everything. I stood in the doorway, listened, nodded once, then I smiled, soft and slow, not cruel, just finished. I closed the blinds before they could ask again. Locked the door. Saturday back down. Word got around. Church folks, neighbors. She's bitter. She's being spiteful. They're her family. I heard it all, like wind brushing the windows. It didn't touch me. They don't know. They weren't there when I sat at birthday tables alone. They didn't hear silence on the other end of a forgotten phone call. They never saw my suitcase wait a whole summer, untouched. They took the vacation. I took the peace. They thought I was lonely, but I've never been more whole.